So the big question is this: how do most agents who don't have access to the secrets that the top agents in our industry hoard to themselves grow and prosper in today's real estate environment? That's the question. And this video podcast is the answer. I'm Pat Hyben, and welcome to Real Estate Rockstars. Rockstar Nation, thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to stay to the end, where our guests will be offering a free gift. As you know, all of our guests offer a free gift, and all of these gifts can be found on the Agent Success Toolbox. You could find that by going to hybendigital.com/toolbox, or simply texting the word toolbox to 444-999. That's toolbox to 444-999. I am going to put today's free gift in today's show notes, but if you want all of them, including gifts from most of our guests that have come on the show, just go to the Agent Success Toolbox. All right, Rockstar Nation, got a great guest coming up from downtown Chicago today, and you know, a lot of stuff is going on in Chicago, and this guy's in the forefront of it, and he is an agent. But he has a very interesting way of taking his commissions and a very interesting way of, quite frankly, building wealth through, you know, what he's been able to embody as a real estate agent. So we're going to get into some nitty gritty. I am excited. I got Mr. Moses Hall on the line. Moses, welcome to Real Estate Rockstars.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show.
Hey, Moses, why don't you kind of tell everybody a little bit about yourself so they get to know you better?
Sounds good. Sounds good. So I'm actually originally from New York City. I moved to Chicago in 2008 to attend an art school. I was in Columbia College. I have a background in music, playing piano. And once I graduated, I started my own event space. So I had a space that I rented out for private events, photo shoots, movies, all different types of stuff. And then I was leasing a commercial space. And then I realized the math of that I should own a commercial property instead of just leasing one. And so that's when the light bulb went off, and I decided to go get my broker's license to focus on commercial development and investments. And I've been in the industry since 2014. I recently started my own commercial full service brokerage, Mohawk Commercial Urban Development. I've been awarded NAR's 30 under 30. Connect Media is one of the most influential brokers under 35 in the country. So I definitely have a little experience in this industry from the development side and brokering side.
That's awesome. And so let's talk about some nitty gritty, like how, like, you know, we talk about on the show houses sold or units sold. Like, how many units would you say, and we're going to get deep into what this all means in a minute, but how many units would you say you've done or sold in the last 12 months?
Roughly about a little over 100 units that I've done in the last 12 months. Like I said, a lot of these deals I'm in, there are a lot of value add acquisitions that I'm doing, where that means an investor's coming in where rents are a little bit below market rate. The building is a little bit outdated. It's a long time owner, a little bit of vacancies. So when I come in, I'm the boots on the ground. I get contractors. We fill those vacancies. You know, I work with property managers in order to get these buildings fully functioning.
And so when you say 100, would that be 100 separate buildings? Would that be like when you say that? Like,
more of 100 combined units that I've done the last 12 months. So maybe it may be one building that has 20 units, another building that has 30 units, another building that has, you know, another 15 units. So all combined about 100.
And like, so how many, like I think before the call you said you mentioned 24 is what, 24 total sales basically is what it added up to be.
That was a combination of multifamily, retail, like I said, I do office, all those different types of asset classes.
Okay. All right. And so where do you get your where do you get your business, right? You first of all, you opened up you were at a residential brokerage
Yes.
as the like commercial guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so why did that not work for you, or why did you just open up your own brokerage? Because
Well,
a lot of
so
people are like, "Oh, wow, that's great," because all the residential agents refer you business. Did that not happen?
Actually, I did. So prior to opening up my own brokerage, I was at two previous brokerages. So my first brokerage was more residential. Then I transitioned to more of a boutique commercial brokerage. And once I gained that experience, I branched out and got my own, started my own brokerage. However, as you mentioned, I do get a lot of referrals from residential agents because there's a lot of moving parts in a commercial deal that you can't learn by overnight. And I've taken courses, I've had the training to conduct these deals, not only in the field but in the classroom as well.
Got it. So on this show, we talk about ECI, which is ego commission income, or as a lot of residential agents call it GCI. And I know that what you do with a lot of your commissions is you kind of group them in. You kind of take equity in the project.
Right.
Like if you didn't do that, right, and you just took it cash, right? What would you say your GCI is? Like, what would the total commissions be that you would have earned if you had not invested back any of the money?
Yeah. So, and that it's ironic that you bring that up because to be transparent, I wasn't making a lot of money in commissions, and the reason why is that because I'm going into the lower income communities where the home values and property values are not great. So you're talking about sometimes $5,000-6,000 at best on a deal versus if I bought into the deal or that number could be tripled like you said by putting equity in it. So because like I said, a lot of my clients are high net worth individuals. They're out of state, out of the country, and my value proposition is being their boots on the ground. So instead of, like you said, taking the $5,000-6,000 commission check, because like I said, I'm working in the lower income communities where their property values are not great. If I buy into the deal, it can create more of a generational cash flow and net worth that way. So that was the value proposition. So yeah, to your point, the commissions wasn't great because, like you said, I'm
Yeah.
pulling.
So
Yeah,
if you're doing, let's say, 25 deals
yeah,
at $5,000,
yeah,
that's say a little over $100,000.
yeah.
But if you take that hundred, I'm not, thousand, and you say, hey, I want in on this deal
Right,
with you, and whatever that percentage would be,
right,
of the deal. Let's say it's
right,
4% of the total deal. You're saying once they develop it and all that stuff, then you own 4% of this big uh, apartment complex, condo
right,
unit, retail strip center, whatever the hell they decide to build
right,
there, right? Is that
right.
so? That's kind of what's going on.
Right. Yeah. For me, that was the easiest way to get into this industry is to partner with those that have the funds that can put it up. And for that, like you said, in exchange for that, we have our own agreements. It depends on the investor and developer that I'm the boots on the ground and, pretty much project managing it. So, yeah.
So do you get three times? That's just your fee, or are you saying in the future it would be worth
It,
three times the
well, it,
commission?
it all depends on the agreement, depends on the strategy. Some of them are not buy and hold strategies. Some of them are fix and flip.
Mm.
And for one example, I have a client that he puts up the majority of the money. I put a little skin in the game, such as the carrying costs of when we're fixing and flipping. And then, like you said, I'm handling getting the contractors, all that stuff, plans, permits, all that good stuff. And then at the end of it, we split profits 50-50. So that's kind of
Mm.
like you said, it all depends on the
It all
dynamic
depends,
of,
but you could
yeah,
go to someone and say, "Hey, I got, I know a block that I can get all the owners together and sell. Cut me in for 10%, and we'll do that." I
yeah,
mean, can you do that? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
So you
like
could
you
kind of
said,
name your equity price.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, investors are always looking for deals, and if you're that boots on the ground in the community, you know, certain aldermen within the Chicago area, you go to the community meetings, so you know what's going on. You see a deficit and stuff like that, then you can go in and make a value proposition to your clients.
So like give me an example of a really good one you did, not that you flipped, but maybe that you've held on to.
So yeah, so like I said, it might be more so right now. The strategy has been flipping instead of holding. Just for right now, we're just kind of like you said. Right now, there's been a lot of rumors about the market. And so a lot of investors are just saying, you know, hey, I just want to get in, get out. So that's kind of what I've been doing recently. And that's kind of been the structure 50-50 split. But in the previous times, like you said, I may ask for maybe, you know, 3 to 5% equity, you know, on the back end of stuff. And that's kind of how I kind of buy, because that would be my commission. So instead of taking the commission, I'll just put that back into the deal. And when you do that over time, you know, you're building, even if it's a small portion. As realtors, like you say, you don't want to be solely reliant on commission checks.
Tribeofmillionaires.com. Guys, write that down. Rockstar Nation got a free special offer for you. Now, I've just written a book, and it's just been published. Co-authored it with David Osborne, who's been on this show multiple times. If you don't know David, he is one of the top execs at Keller Williams Real Estate, was personally mentored for the last 2 decades by Gary Keller himself, and he's in all kinds of businesses. His bio and explanation and everything is in this book. But anyways, David and I got together. We decided to write a book. We called it Tribe of Millionaires. And I guarantee you it's going to change your life. To find out more, just go to tribeofmillionaires.com. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. Only thing we ask in return is, of course, number one, you pay the shipping. Not a big deal. But number two, that you go on Amazon and write us a review. We're really looking to get an incredible amount of reviews, and because of that, we're giving this book away for free. Go to tribeofmillionaires.com today. So a lot of people listen and be like, yeah, but I spend everything that I make. You know what I mean? Like easier said than done, Moses. So how did you, how did you have the patience or the just ability to do that, right? Because a lot of people say, well, shit, he was only making, 100 grand. He probably was spending 100 grand. It's very hard to say, hey, I don't need a commission. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To say, I don't need a commission. Give it to me in equity, which I think is brilliant. But
right.
What advice do you have for people that are thinking in their minds that they can't do that?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, and I had to learn this early on as well, it's not about how much you make, it's how much you can save. And what I mean by that is cut your expenses. I know as realtors, we want to drive in the latest Benz, we want to have the biggest house, we want to put on this show front that we've made it. But in reality, some of my biggest clients, they roll around in the oldest cars with t-shirt and jeans, and they literally cut their expenses, in half. And I think as agents, I think we have to kind of come to that realization. If you cut back on that Starbucks, outing every day, spending, $20 a day and all that type of stuff, you can definitely see some savings. So I think for me, I've cut back on my expenses. And like you said, I built up my reserves to where I can kind of afford to move around a little bit to invest into these deals. And just a quick tidbit, I was watching a video on social media. It was with one of the actors in The Lion King. He was one of the singers that sung the Lion King song. And he told a story about how his mother, instead of taking $2 million up front that Disney wanted to offer him, he took $100,000, and on the back end, they negotiated that he get residuals. And he's over, I think he's over 40 now, and he said he's made over the $2 million because of the residuals that he's gotten on the back end. So it's not always about
this is for the movie. The original
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, the original movie.
So
There
they
was
did original movie, The Lion
yeah,
King,
the Lion King.
which is
Yeah, yeah,
20 years old, right?
yeah,
And then so he would like sing all the African songs and stuff
yep,
that he did in the background.
yep.
And then his mom basically gave him advice and said,
Well,
you
yeah,
know,
his mom negotiated with Disney's. They were like, because if they took the two
because he was a
million,
kid. Why was his mom in there negotiating?
yeah, he was a kid.
He was a kid. Okay.
Yeah, he was like only like 10. He was a actor, a kid actor, and his mom
Oh, a
negotiated.
kid actor.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so he was like a
Not.
voiceover.
Yeah, and so instead of taking the $2 million up front with no residuals, they took $100,000, and he's going to get residuals for a lifetime, and which passes on to the next generation. So it's part of his generational wealth. And even though they didn't take that 2 million, but he's made over 2 million over the
Right, of course,
years
and he'll
with
make
that
it forever
residuals.
because that's a
Yeah,
classic. I mean, the Disney movies,
yeah.
and you can't kill a Disney movie. Like you
No,
literally cannot kill a Disney movie.
right.
Like it is like it could last literally like five. It could last 10 lifetimes.
Right. And so, yeah, so the whole point of that story is kind of the same thing with agents. You may want to get that upfront commission, but in the back end, you'll make more money over time. And so that's kind of the philosophy that I'm applying is, for me personally, I don't want to be 80, 90 years old still trying to sell properties. I want to have a retirement plan. And so this is, I mean, why not invest in the product that you're selling to create a long-term wealth? So that's kind of why I'm starting now. And when I get of age that I want to retire, I have a portfolio of things that I can lean back on.
No, that's awesome. I think it's extremely smart, and I think that you the sacrifices that you make now at your age will pay you for a lifetime if you have the strength to do it. A lot of young kids don't. A lot of people, no matter what their age is, don't.
Right.
Right? They can't do it.
Absolutely.
How old are you?
I'm 29.
You're 29. Okay, cool. Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? And that, because what happens is as you get older, you start, you get a family, you get kids, you get a house, 2 cars, and then
Right.
you got to keep up with all the neighbors. So you get better cars and you get better lawnmowers, and it's
Yeah.
like, and then it's too late. You're stuck in that rat race. And
Absolutely.
so I think it's great that you focused on that. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about opportunity zones because I know there's a bunch of them, and kind of I have to assume that not everybody is savvy on this subject. I'm just going to kind of talk about it, and then you could add to it. But
Okay.
basically, what it is, an opportunity zone is something you could do. The Trump came out with this. He had a lot of help from the Justin Timberlake guy that Justin Timberlake played. I can't remember his name. That started Napster, and they came up with that he played in that movie, The Social Network. Sean something. Anyways, they came up with this plan where basically, if you make money any way, shape, or form, it doesn't have in a capital gain. It doesn't have to be real estate. Is the point? A good example is I'm doing one personally where I invested in a small startup company, and it sold, and so I got a gain from that. And normally I would have to pay taxes right away on that gain, but I can take that gain and invest in real estate like a 1031 tax deferred exchange, and defer that. So it's happening, but the problem is you have to put it in certain zones. You have to put it in certain things that are labeled based on the census, low income. So Chicago has a lot of these zones where investors can take money that they made on, say, stock, company sales, really anything, right, that's a capital gain, and plug it into these opportunity zones in Chicago. So talk to me about that. I'll let you start
Yeah.
talking.
So yeah, as you kind of mentioned, the difference with 1031 exchange and opportunity zones is that opportunity zones allows you to put capital gains from anywhere, where you made it in the stock market, whether you sold equipment, whether you sold a company. You can take it and putting into real estate versus 1031 exchange. It has to be real estate for real estate. And so this, like you said, this tax incentive, I know there's like different breaks at depending on how long you owe it. You hold it for a certain amount of years, you get this percentage. You hold it for another, get this percentage. But if you hold it past 10, you don't have to pay any capital gains on tax on your earnings. And so this has spurred a lot of interest in a lot of developers and investors to invest to, like you said, almost like a tax shield. The only thing is they're still trying to figure out how this all will completely work. I know in the Chicago market, it can be a little bit tricky trying to, invest and be in all the guidelines. I know some of the guidelines is that the amount that you purchase the building for is the same amount you have to put in capital improvements. So sometimes on the Chicago South Side, if you buy a building for $500,000, it's hard to put another $500,000 in capital depending on the structure, because then it may not value out. But the thing that really happens is kind of like you said, people come together at the same time, redeveloping, then property values will go up. I know here in Chicago, there's a developer named Leon Walker. He's doing a great work in the Inglewood community. He's developed the Whole Foods Square. So he's bought a major retailer like Whole Foods, Chipotle, Starbucks, to a lower income community, which has it has a rippling effect, where now the property values in Inglewood has gone up. They've just actually added a STEM school in Inglewood. So when you have these things, it begins to appreciate the value in these lower income communities, and which gives an opportunity for someone to come, and it's zoned an opportunity zone to invest. And like you said, not have to pay capital gains tax on their money. So yeah, it's a great opportunity for those that are looking. It's a more of a long-term strategy. It's not like I'm a go in and make a bunch of money and do all this stuff. It's more.
You got to have patience, and yes. I think that's why a lot of people originally when it came out were real excited, and now people are less excited because 10 years is a long time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like. Your money's illiquid for that time. And of course, everything's should do well over a 10-year period. I mean, real estate always does well over long periods of time. It is interesting to watch, though. And like Moses said, you can't do this on you can't just buy a house and do this really, unless you're going to tear down the house and rebuild it. Right. You really have to do it on a lot, or you have to do it on something like in Chicago or like Baltimore, where you're basically bulldozing the row houses and then redoing it, because you got to put, like he said, 100% back of what you paid for the land or the actual buy itself. Yeah. So it's very interesting. And one of the things they did, not with the Opportunity Zone, but similar to what you said with the Starbucks and the Whole Foods, there was what was it, 15 years ago or so, they created Harbor East down in Baltimore, and I remember reading a story that Whole Foods came to, that basically this developer wanted Whole Foods so bad, and Whole Foods was like, no, I'm not going to go in there. It's ghetto. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to, it's a Whole Foods, Yeah. So they basically built this building, and they go, okay, here's the deal. You can live here for free. You only pay us, a percent of your profit. So basically you have to profit. And if you don't profit, you live here for free. And then as your profit goes up, you just keep paying that percent as rent and something like, and then at any time you can flip it over and you have normal market rent, but that's up to you. So Whole Foods was like, well, what do we have to lose, right? Like we're going to make money. People are going to come to us, and yeah, we'll lose money up front, but we don't have to pay rent. Right. You know what I mean? And so it worked out well. And now the whole area is gentrified. I mean, it's like,
Right.
completely different. And so
Right.
that's, I'm sure, what they did there. So,
Right.
um,
But yeah, like you said, it's more of a long term strategy thing. Like you said, initially everyone was excited and just trying to just pour money into these opportunity funds. But now, like you said, now that they're releasing more information about the details, it's not like a overnight thing. You have to be real strategic in how you place your money.
yeah, most people with money, they get excited when they profit, right? So they're
Yeah,
like, yeah, I just made this money. And then they're like, well, you can't flip the money again for 10 years. It's just I don't
right.
know. It's kind of like with you, it's like the Lion King
Yeah,
story, your story. It's like you really get rich slow, right? And
right,
most people don't have the ability to get rich slow, right?
right.
I remember reading about this marshmallow test that they did at Harvard. I don't know if you ever heard this one, and I'm going to screw up the details of this, but they basically gave like 100 kids a marshmallow, and they said, you can eat this marshmallow now, or you could let it sit here for 10 minutes and you get a second marshmallow. And these are like 4-year-olds, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then they filmed them, right?
Yeah,
The fact of the matter is, almost like so many of them just ate the marshmallow, right?
yeah,
I can't sit here and not,
yeah,
eat it. But there was like 5 that didn't, that waited for
yeah.
that second marshmallow. And then they followed those 5, and all of them ended up being so much more successful
Wow.
than the average of the rest of the 95, just because they had that ability to defer gratification.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. And which is so funny you say that, because now we live in a society where we are looking for instant gratification with social media, our technology, our phones, computers. It's just the way of the world. So when you come across someone that has patience and very strategic in how they move, I mean, that's super rare. And I'm pretty sure, like you said, they are a little bit more successful in life, instead of making rash decisions.
Do the math. It's worth every single dollar. That's a title of a comment that I got on my certified listing agent course from Rebus University. It's from Bill Reeg. This is what Bill says. Bill says, looking to take your listing presentation to the next level? I've closed 100 appointments since I took Pat's certified listing agent course. 5 appointments, 5 new clients, 60 days. Boom, do the math. It's worth every single dollar. Thanks, Bill. But listen, guys, I am offering this to you if you haven't already taken it, because so many brokers and teams make their agents take it before they do a single listing appointment. But if you haven't taken it, you can go to rebusuniversity.com and get it now. Now, here's the thing. For 30 days, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you that course. I'm going to give you the buyer agent course, which teaches you how to close every single serious buyer that calls on the phone or emails. The certified team agent course is taught by Jeff Cohn, one of America's top agents, on how to build a team from 0 to hero to hundreds and hundreds of units every year, step by step. It's like a 12-hour course, plus 7 other courses. Yes, you heard that right. All for a measly $127 a month. If you were to go to Rebus University and buy these courses individually, it costs you over $10,000. But today, if you go to futureofrealestatetraining.com, that's futureofrealestatetraining.com, you'll learn what Bill Reeg did, which is how to close 100% of the listing appointments you go on. Quite impressive. And you'll learn all the other incredible details provided in the 11 5-star courses that are offered. Yeah, it's like all you can eat bazaar. You go in now and you pay $127 a month. If you can eat all 11 courses in 1 month, that's all you pay is $197. This is a bargain, guys. Get it now. Futureofrealestatetraining.com. Hey, Real Estate Rockstars, this is Pat Hyben, and before we jump back into today's content, I want to tell you about an extraordinary offer from an extraordinary company. I'm talking about My Outdesk. If you haven't heard of My Outdesk, basically they're a virtual assistant company. a VA company that specializes in virtual assistants for real estate agents. Yeah, I'm talking about transaction coordinators, marketing assistants. I'm talking about ISAs, inside sales agents that prospect thousands and thousands of seller leads and buyer lead follow-ups. I mean, these guys are trained in this stuff specifically. You're not using a company that doesn't know or understand real estate sales. 4 out of 5 of the top teams in the US use My Outdesk for their virtual assistants. And because I know the owner, Daniel Ramsey, I've known him for over a decade, and I know how awesome and incredible this company is and how it saves agents thousands and thousands of dollars every single week and makes them thousands and thousands of more every single week, we're going to give you a $400 coupon off of your first month of a virtual assistant and give you a free book entitled Scaling Your Business with Virtual Professionals. So you can read it and look into it before you decide anything. It's called Scaling Your Business with Virtual Professionals. And you can get it real easy. All you got to do is text the word HIBAN, H-I-B-A-N, to 31996. That's H-I-B-A-N to 31996. And download your free book, Scaling Your Business with Virtual Professionals. And don't forget to mention also that you get a $400 discount, which will give you a coupon for that when you download the book. Thank you guys, and I hope you enjoy and make a ton of money using My Outdesk. Yeah, no, they followed him until they a long time. They like decades. They followed him. And they all were owned houses, had stable, were healthy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just had that self-control. So if that's something if you don't have that, and you need to develop it and start thinking. And if you're a real estate agent, and you're not in the commercial space, or you don't have opportunities like Moses did, there's no reason you can't pretend you're Moses and just be like, okay, well, I am going to get a check for $5,000 on this. Let me invest it in a deal. Let me invest it in something. Let me buy some real estate with it. Just because you have to take that extra couple of steps and cash the check and then reinvest it doesn't mean you shouldn't. That's essentially what I did my whole life. So what would you recommend to people listening that maybe don't work with investors, that want to work with investors, that want to start doing what you're doing in their areas?
Well, I would suggest, if you want to work with investors, go to where investors are at. Look up your local investor meetup groups, go to networking events, go to conferences, I get involved in your local association if you're a realtor, or your local community groups. This is where you're going to meet tons of people. Like you said, there's also a Southside investors meetup group that meets once a month. I met people there. You just have to get out there and meet investors, and you have to put yourself out there that you want to work with investors. That's kind of how I built my network of people. And then also the name of the game is listings. I get a lot of listings, and from those listings I'm able to market and build my email database. And so a lot of times, a lot of my listings get multiple offers. A lot of times they're not represented by other agents. A lot of times they're out of state, out of the country, and I've built my database from there as well. So you want to get listings as marketing tool. You want to go out to networking events. You want to hand out your business card. You want to market yourself as the expert that knows how to work with investors and developers.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, aside from the referrals that you get from networking events or other agents, which you said kind of lacked, it didn't really work. It worked a little bit, but what would you say your number one source is aside from referrals and networking?
My number one source.
What do you do? What do you do aggressively? You know what I mean, to get biz?
Well, to get biz, like you said, I get listings. I'll be honest. I get listings. Really, how do I really do it? Really, it's just word of mouth. It's really word of mouth. And the way, like you say, if you work with one investor, they'll tell the other friend, and that's kind of how, you know. And then people see my signs in neighborhoods and call me like, "Hey, I saw that you sold such and such," and I did something that a previous agent couldn't do. You know, I literally just sold a retail development structure. It was over 15,000 square feet. It was previously listed with another agent for over a year, couldn't get it done. I came in, talked with the sellers. I got a cash offer within 30 days. And so that's the type of aggression. So that word of mouth, they're going to keep spreading like, hey, I know this guy. I know this guy.
So
So for me,
how'd you do that? Like what did it look like? 15,000 square feet. Did it have tenants in it, or was it vacant?
no, it was vacant, run down. It was used to be a dry cleaners. It was a big lot on a busy street. And what I did was, like you said, my marketing game. I do videos, I do photos, I do drone.
Like how long was it empty, would you say?
Maybe about 2 or 3 years. It was
Okay, so
empty.
it wasn't like mold growing everywhere
No,
and
it was. It
trees
was.
growing through. It was
It
okay.
was. It was.
It
Like
was. It was. It was
like you
screwed up
said,
because they
yeah, it
probably
was
had a lot
screwed
of
up.
steam and stuff in there from the dry
Yeah, I mean,
cleaners.
it's a complete gut, but I had to paint the picture of the end goal, and I was able to sell it to another developer. And like you said, my marketing. One thing that I go hard on is I use social media to my advantage. I use Instagram, Facebook, especially LinkedIn, marketing to other developers, and that's how also I get a lot of clients
So
as
let me
well.
talk to you about that. So, okay, so use this one as an example, right? It was on a corner lot, so you're like great opportunity, path of growth, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Was it opportunity zone?
Uh, Actually, no, it wasn't Opportunity Zone, but it was what's called a TIF district.
Hmm.
So,
What's that mean?
which that means the city has set aside funding, almost kind of like your Whole Food story, that developers can come in and tap into. It's an incentive for developers to come in and develop on land, and so they have set aside money for that. So you
It's like a
can couple
bonus or
that, yeah,
something.
bonus, yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
they got a vacant property, right? That's just sitting there, that broken windows and mold
yep,
growing through it, and they want to get rid of it, and it just makes the everything look bad when
yeah,
that
it does.
happens.
And then people were like throwing like furniture and tires on the lot, and so we had to get that. So it was just an eyesore. So I had to go in there and talk with the it was a family that owned it, and give them a strategy of how we're going to get this done. And I was
Mm,
able to come and get this. It was listed for over a year, no activity. I came in
yeah.
there, I told them this is what we have to do. I'm very data driven. I'm looking at markets, I'm looking at all the numbers. I'm very number driven. I'm going to look at what's taking place in the market and give you an assessment. And so when I come in there with that professionalism and market data, it allows me to efficiently do my job. And so when you do that, you earn the trust of the client. They give referrals. They have other people that own businesses and properties. And so that's kind of how I built my name. And from there, and like you said, the marketing, when I get a listing, like you said, just off this one listing, I've gotten over, I would say, 70 leads of
Mm.
other business owners that are looking in the area. So, like you said, once you get one listing, you can market it and get other things, and those clients will buy, and those clients will have other properties, and from there, you just kind of build your pipeline.
And specifically, you mentioned LinkedIn. Like specifically, do you link in? Do you find like developers in the Chicago area and link to, like, what do you do specifically so people can learn from it?
So what I do is as I mentioned earlier, you go to these events and you meet people. And once you meet them, just don't get their business card, connect with them on LinkedIn so that you
Mm,
can, reason I like LinkedIn is because it keeps me abreast on what's going on in my local market, national market, everything that's taking place, because I'm meeting people from all over the world. And when I post a listing, what I really like about LinkedIn is you can post something and someone in your network can like it that you're connected to, and then
mm,
it'll show up on their network feed. So it may be people I'm not even connected to on LinkedIn. We may be third, fourth removed but they'll see my listing and they'll say,
Sort of
oh,
like
hey,
social proof, right? They're
yeah,
like, oh, I
yeah,
met that dude Moses,
yeah,
right? And then all of a sudden they see this dry cleaner and you're like, hey, I
right,
just listed this. They're like, okay, well, he's not all talk. He really is doing some biz. And
right.
then next thing you know, they're like, oh, I know a guy.
Yeah. And so it's the saying that says your net worth is your net worth.
Mm,
Um, that's what I live by, and I make sure that I built my network up, that I have a lot of developers. It's about connecting, meeting people, and like I said, I don't spam people. I let people follow my journey in real estate, and people love that engagement. I think my latest post that I post, I think I had over 20,000 views on this post, so that's kind of the reach that I get on my LinkedIn profile.
crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to put his LinkedIn. Here's your assignment. I'm going to put his LinkedIn thing. You want to follow this guy. I'm
Yeah.
going to put it on hybendigital.com/Moses Hall. And I'm also going to put his free gift on hybendigital.com/Moses Hall. Moses, what's your free gift today?
My free gift is, I know a lot of times, like you said, I know I'm a commercial guy, but I know a lot of times buyers, when you're buying a property, you don't know the next steps. And so what I gifted you guys is an outline of a typical process in the buying process. So it outlines the time frame to turn in earnest money, time frame typically to do inspection, all this stuff. And it's a huge help. It's a quick tool that you can give to your clients to, like, hey, I don't know the next steps in the buying process. Oh, here's a sheet that spells it out for you.
Yeah,
And
that's
so I
great because
thought,
most of
yeah,
these listeners are residential people. So,
yeah,
it'll help them because they may have an opportunity with a commercial deal and they'll be like,
yeah,
maybe I won't refer it out. Maybe I'll just do it myself and earn a
right,
commission, which
right,
I recommend they do because, it's a great way to learn commercial real estate.
right. But like I said, there are limitations depending on what type of commercial it is. You definitely want to, because there's different types of commercials, such as retail and multifamily and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And you want to just be, you want to represent your client to the best of your ability. But like I said, the best way to learn is to get in the field, and that's kind of how I learned myself.
I love it. All right, guys. So that'll also be in the Agent Success Toolbox, which is on hybendigital.com/toolbox, or texting the word toolbox to 444-999. And again, if you want to reach out to Moses and say hello or follow him on social media or whatever, thank him for his information or learn more about Chicago, it'll be on hybendigital.com/Moses Hall. Moses, this has been a blast, buddy. If I'm ever in Chicago, I will definitely look you up and
Yes,
we'll get
please.
together and break some bread.
Sounds good to me. I appreciate the opportunity.
I want you to think about the word toolbox. What is a toolbox? A toolbox is a box full of tools that you use to build something great. At Real Estate Rockstars, we've created our own free toolbox. So everybody that comes on the show as a guest brings a tool with them, and we plow them all into this toolbox, and we give it away for our viewing audience to basically use as they wish. Everything we put in there is an actionable item that can be downloaded, can be printed, can be used immediately. And we got things like scripts and dialogues, checklists for teams, checklists to keep agents accountable, referral forms that are filled out at settlement to get referrals by your buyers and sellers. Everything you can think of that you could use on a regular basis about real estate is included in this toolbox, and it's helping agents worldwide sell more houses and make their jobs a lot easier and processes much more efficient. And the thing is, it's absolutely free. All you got to do is go to hybendigital.com/toolbox or text the word toolbox to 444-999. That's toolbox 444-999. Do it now.
Rockstar Nation, thank you for listening to Real Estate Rockstars. Listen, I need a favor. If you find this free content helpful, if you find our downloadable items from each guest helpful, please, I need you to pull out your pointing finger. Yes, the one finger that points at people, and hit subscribe. Yes, subscribe. The more subscribers we get, the better we look in the ratings, and the easier it is to get guests like Robert Kiyosaki, Barbara Corcoran, all the players that are on $1 million listing in the different cities. All that stuff makes it easier the more subscribers we get. So please subscribe. And listen, there's a lot of places you can leave comments. There's a lot of places you can like. We're on Facebook. We have an Instagram page. Instagram page is I am Pat Hyben. The Facebook is Real Estate Rockstars Radio. Feel free to leave us comments there. The most popular form of commenting seems to happen on YouTube. Yes, for whatever reason, it's a very open environment. So just go to YouTube and go to Real Estate Rockstars Radio. Leave us comments there. Some of them we will read on the show. We love your feedback. So thanks, guys, and I hope you are having a great day. Oh, and also, listen, if you're going to subscribe and you haven't already left a review on iTunes, please do that too. Have a great day, and thanks so much, Rockstar Nation. I really appreciate you.